Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Sean here with Blue Ridge Silverhound. We have the Pocket Change Market Report for January 28, 2023. I believe this is the last one of the month, so let's make it a good one. So we're going to dive right in to ungraded errors and varieties that folks like you and I have found out there in the wild, whether it's going through change, coin rolls, go into a coin shop or show to maybe cherry pick a few of these. There's a wide array of different methods of obtaining these coins, and the line of thinking is you want to find something really neat to add to your collection without breaking the bank. This could be a way of doing that. Secondly, it's also a great way to supplement your income. You're going to see that here firsthand, that some of these coins fetch quite a bit of money on the secondary market, and that's really just due to desirability. The error and variety crowd out there, they're very dedicated, and they're willing to put their money where their mouth is for some of the most dramatic errors and some of the best looking varieties, especially those that are in the cherry picker's guide. So those FS listed numbered varieties certainly do command a lot of money. So all the coins are ungraded, of course, and then second, you're going to see just raw images direct from these individual auction listings. So I didn't change anything other than cropping them, so that way we could fit, both the obverse and reverse image on the same screen for you. Just eliminate less slides I have to go through, and hopefully make it a much smoother experience for you. But thank you guys again for tuning in. Let's see how this final January PCMR shaped up, and it's actually quite impressive. We're going to kind of slow dance our way through the list here, starting out with this 1970 Lincoln Memorial cent with a very subtle looking curved clip. Not much of a curve on there, but you could tell that this thing had seen a lot of circulation wear, so it's far from the perfect coin. But this is a genuine U.S. Mint error, and this one ended up selling to the tune of $4.10. Sure, not a lot of money, but you got to start somewhere, and just consider that if you plan on doing this for a living, to make a few extra bucks, you got to take the small deals with the bigs, because all that extra profit money goes into one collective bank, I suppose. So yeah. Good little coin right here. Again, condition-wise, nothing really to write home to mother about. The next one that we have here, again, we're kind of leaning on the more subtle type of errors. These are realistically the type of coins that you can find out there, ladies and gentlemen. This is a 2000 Lincoln Memorial set. This one has a very subtle broad strike. You can see just the amount of thickness and that thicker rim here on the right side of the coin. So with broad strikes, as you guys know, the collar, which is a die in its own right, usually when it's engaged, will keep the coin in place during the striking process. And that means that the coin will retain the correct diameter for what it is. When that collar is not there, the metal flow extends outward, therefore making the coin appear a little bit larger. In this particular case, the collar wasn't completely set up perfectly. You might even have a little PTC is what I call it. That's a partial tilted collar. You could maybe see that here on the right side, that stepped area on the edge there, which means the collar was slightly tilted. But yeah, phenomenal looking coin, still in great shape. $5.10 was the sale price on this one. There were actually a couple really impressive statehood quarter errors, and these are actually very highly coveted because folks are actually collecting these by state. So they're looking for P&D types of errors for all the states. The real completionist will want those. So here's a 1999. I was about ready to say 2000. But 99p Georgia statehood quarter. This one has a partial tilted collar, a little bit off center as well. Or you can make the argument that it could be a broad strike. It's very close. But when you look on the reverse here, you can see just how crazy this one is right here. You have some of the devices on the reverse cut off on one side of this quarter. But the coin overall is in really good shape, and this one will find a home in one of those statehood era legacy sets. This one ended up selling for $18.38. Here's a little bit of an edge view showing that PTC in full effect. Again, the collar slightly tilted. It's only going to strike up just a little bit of the reading. It's going to have the other side of it. It's going to be this raised, railroaded kind of area. Just think that, the reeds are struck halfway on these. So pretty neat. You always want to look at the edge just to be sure that it's not a full broad strike or a off-center strike. The next one that we have here, it looks like a coin that probably was found in a group of silver dimes. And this is why I always tell you, I mean, we all love to stack our silver, whether it's, good old-fashioned 999 fine bullion in the way of silver eagles or maple leaves. But people do love the junkier variety, your 90%, your sterlings, things of that nature. Always be on the lookout for any sort of error. Like this one right here, a lot of people had overlooked something like this just based off of the circulation wear on it. So this is a classic case of, as subtle as it may be, there are a lot of people that aren't really privy to what this is. So this is just a really nice uncentered broad strike on this Mercury dime. It's a 45S. And I'm happy to say that this was a really solid $70 sale. So if you do come across one of these in your silver hoard, I suppose, just consider that you would be taking a coin that otherwise would be worth about $2 and 40 cents melt value into something that is $70. So that's why we do it. Always look out for that, along with a myriad of different varieties, doubled dies, repunched mid marks, things like that. There's oodles of them to look out there. We have a couple really nice off-center strikes on the list. Here's yet again another one. This is a 1999 P Jefferson nickel. This one's off-center by about 20%. It's really nice. This thing is, I would say, mint state. During the 99-2000 calendar years, a lot of these type of errors were found in the final few years of the mint-sewn bags that were distributed by the Federal Reserve Bank. So that's why there's an overabundance of 99 and 2000 off-center and broad strikes in just about every conceivable denomination, from Lincoln cents, which we've seen quite a bit, all the way up to quarters. So this one right here, again, another pleasing eye-appealing example. Man, that was a mouthful. But this one managed to sell for $21.38. If this was on any other earlier date in this condition, it'd probably be worth twice that amount. But because of its sale price, that kind of gives a little credence to how available this particular date in an off-center or broad strike is out there. This one actually is quite neat. I haven't seen one of these in a while, but this is a 1995 small head $5 bill. It's a star note. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Star notes, in theory, aren't supposed to have these crazy looking errors like this. But what appears to have happened here is this is simply a solvent smear or a ink bleed, which I haven't seen one of these in quite some time. The colors appear correct. For what I'm seeing right here, and the note is actually very, very crispy new. This one here has no evident folds or any edge wear or corner wear. This thing looks like it came out of a new bank strap during its day, and it's just been sitting in a holder since. So mighty impressive specimen right here that ended up selling for $309.89 with 35 bids. Again, proving that grading these things isn't necessary. I have a feeling that if it were graded, yeah, you could probably squeeze a little bit more blood out of the turnip, make an extra 20 or 30 bucks from this sale. But, at the end of the day, is it worth waiting, month and a half, 2 months to get this thing back from a grading company, and then you got to sell it and list it for another 7 days on top of that? Really something to consider, because there's no account or substitute for saving time when it comes to sales of this caliber. Another neat one here. This is a 1866 Shield Nickel. This one has the rays on the reverse. But on the obverse, you could see just, what looks to be like lamination peels or something like that. This one is, I would say, as far as error attribution goes, most folks would just call this one struck on defective planchet, and that's what it is. Nothing incredibly too fancy, and, this is a lower end type of error on a rather higher end type coin. So, I've always said that errors like this sometimes could be a detriment to certain coins if they're on there. There are people who are just not willing to pay the extra money for a lower end error on a type piece such as this. Like this one, for example, ended up selling for $125, and the coin is in really fantastic shape. I would say it's probably a net kind of maybe XF40, somewhere around there. Very sharp, lots of detail. But the same coin without the strike throughs and the lamination and the planchet cracks and fissures and whatnot would probably still sell for this amount of money without those. So this is one of those offhanded kind of instances where either the error wouldn't matter to the value of a coin, or it would actually negatively impact it. So always make sure that you are aware of that. Sometimes you just won't be making any sort of profit off of stuff like this. Beautiful looking coin, by the way. This is another good one, and keep in mind this coin is a nice chocolatey brown. It's got plenty of circulation wear. I would say it's probably a solid XF condition, but you should always be checking your 1972 Lincoln cents. There are a good solid 9 or so doubled dies that are very meaningful because they all have FS numbers to it. So the seller of this one recognized that it is a doubled die obverse, but didn't specify which one. After doing some research, it appears to be the FS 107. Based off of what I've seen, but here are a few close-ups of the motto, "In God We Trust," and Liberty. So this is where your strongest doubling is. There is some doubling on the date, although not as impressive as what you see here in the motto and Liberty. This one in this condition, even still, this is impressive. Sold for $38.99 with 4 bids. Our big feature coin of the week is this 1983 P. Jefferson nickel. Man, I love seeing these things, and they pop up when you least expect it. Now, the coin, at first glance, has circulation wear, so this thing has seen its fair share of cash registers, they've been all over the place. This one right here is actually a coin struck from a split die. And that would be the hammer die in this particular instance. Now, there is a similar error, although the details of the one side of the coin would be very mushy, and that's traditionally known as a struck through split die cap, which means the hammer die has a die cap on there, and then the die cap is a very late stage terminal, kind of a thin, wafer thin cap at this point where it actually splits and it wrinkles and folds, things like that. But this is a true blue split die. You don't see too many of these. Once a die gets terminal enough that it shows a pretty significant crack in there, usually they don't last too many more strikes after that. A mint employee will change that out pretty quickly. But very, very nice coin that ended up selling for a pretty pretty nice stout premium at $178.48 with 15 bids. I don't personally own one of these. It is a bucket list coin, but these don't pop up too often, maybe 3 or 4 times a year. So it's good to see stuff like this. $5 bill time. This is a 1988A $5 bill with the second print actually misaligned on this one. The second print is the main design of the front of the bill, where you have the 4 5s on the corner. You have Lincoln's portrait. That is traditionally referred to as the second print. The first print is the back print. That's all in green. But the overprint is actually perfectly centered for this actual size of note. When we look at the back of the note, it's perfectly centered. So it's that second print that's misaligned here. This one ended up selling for $48.39 with 11 bids. All right, so this one's quite minor, but I thought I'd let you know there's a pair of 2020p Roosevelt dimes with partial tilted collars. Yes, you can find these out there. Again, at first glance, it'll look slightly broad struck or off center, most notable on the reverse. You can see a big old fat rim area here on the right side of the coin. These are relatively nice, brand new looking examples. Both examples I'm going to show you were both sold from the same seller. And this one right here sold for $15. So again, another prospect for you guys hunting through dimes other than silver. This one does show up out there. And then we also have this one also with the same date. I wouldn't put it past them if they did go through actual bankrolls of 2020 Roosevelts to find these. But here's another good example with the same type of error anomaly, which is a partial tilted collar. So $16 sale for this one. All right, so our first significant CUD die break of the week is this 1987 Lincoln Memorial Cent. This thing is pretty nice, and it shows a lot of circulation wear, a lot of that natural brown oxidation of that copper plating is normal on here. Not the most beautiful example, but your CUD die break is on the left side here, covering the in the motto and a couple letters of Liberty as well. Pretty nice sized CUD on there, and you see that weakness on the reverse in that same area, which is one of those things you want to look out for. $93.50 with 6 bids was the final sale price on this one. All right, so yeah, this one's pretty nutty. 1886 Liberty V nickel is actually one of the big key dates of the series. There's the 1885, which is the big one, 1886, which probably comes in the firm's second place. And then you have a few others like 1912S and all that. So this one right here has a defective planchet. Probably a piece of the planchet had fallen out at some point. Call it just a large detached lamination or what have you. But this coin is in such low grade state, probably a AG condition coin, that you wouldn't think that it would be worth a lot of money. Now, keep in mind, this coin in about grades good to about VG is $150 to $200. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of the status of this key date. Now, I talked about how minor type of errors will actually do more harm than good for these type of coins. And that's made it pretty apparent here. Now, you can't really argue with the condition. It's pretty low grade, not necessarily problem free either. You have a few edge nicks on the reverse. However, this one ended up selling for $50.05. I would say, without the defect on the obverse, this one probably would have sold for a little bit more. But again, it's just a testament to how these lower end type of errors on these key dates can and will negatively affect the value of them. People would much rather prefer to have one that is error free. Unless it's like a double struck coin or something like that. But yeah, this one right here, still $50 bill. Can't complain there. All right, so this one is actually really, really cool. One of my favorite pieces of currency here this week, this time on a 1950A. You can just see the contrast in the overall print and the robustness of the inking, just in like 3 decades worth of printing. And, on these much older notes, you're going to have more vivid blacks and, sometimes you have lighter greens, more robust greens. But this good old $10 bill, it looks a little off center here on the front of the bill. Nothing too wild. I've come across these quite a bit, and they were kind of, par for the course during this era. But when we look on the back, wow. Quite a bit of misalignment and a miscut as well. You can even see a pretty nice sized portion of the next bill on that sheet. That was, this thing's nuts. So that I would say the sheet was slightly tilted or rotated prior to the back print, which is the first print on these. So this one right here sold for $103.98 with 20 bids. Now here's our next cut on the list, 1986 Lincoln Memorial. Really small one right here. This one is actually at the base of Lincoln's bust, as you can see right here. Nothing too crazy, but still, these things are hot sellers today, even as small as this. This one ended up selling for an easy $25. And here's more silver to be on the lookout for. This is a very subtle error. But it can transform a coin that traditionally you could buy for probably like $25 into about 3 times that. This time in 1883 Morgan dollar, very common date. This is kind of like one of the regular dates that you would find in a scrap silver bin type of situation. Like if you're LCS or a coin show, we'll have these in a bowl, sitting there for a certain amount of price based off of melt value. But anyways, take a look at even some of the more scrappier versions of these coins that you can buy very cheap and flip them all over. This one happened to have a very mild counterclockwise die rotation error. I would say probably 20 degrees at the most, 15, 20 degrees counterclockwise rotation. This one sold for $78. So that's a heck of a win. That's how you could, turn something small and turn it into something that is much more impressive. So, I would gladly take a 3x sale for this one all day long. Now, this one's neat. There's so much strike through on this Kennedy half dollar that you can't even see a readable date. And that's the most impressive part of it, is that these dies that produce this coin had so much fresh grease applied to it. So when the strike occurs, it has to strike through all this grease, and it can't possibly do that, therefore leading to a lot of weakness on both sides of the coins. Wanted to make it known that this was sold by Big Toes Coins, probably one of the more unique coin dealer names that I have seen in quite some time. Not hating at all. I think it's pretty damn funny, but this one right here ended up selling for $14.53 with 8 bids. Double check your Kennedy half dollar hunts, guys. If you're skipping over things like this because you're looking for that silver, that's going to be a pretty big mistake because there is money here to be had. And another pretty nice strike through error on this 1977 Lincoln Memorial cent, and it's on both sides. Lots of grease here, guys. And this one sold for $5.60 with 2 bids. Nothing too crazy, but I figure I'll let you guys know that these are worth a little bit more than 1 cent. And our next strike through is a struck through capped die. So this is a little bit later stage, not very, very late stage, because we don't see too much of the underlying devices from the die except the date. Apparently, The seller claims this is a 1974. They probably have a better vantage point because this is the only photos that we do have from this sale. This one sold for $37.11 with 4 bids this time. All right, let's do a little quick recap on the market for the Crown die chip. Washington crossing the Delaware quarters. Do you guys remember this coin? Because I know Pepperidge Farm remembers. But anyways, yeah, this was the big talk of the town a couple years ago. Still to this day, one of the more popular designs to release from the mint. Rivals pretty closely to the Drummer Boy reverse on the 76 quarters as being very American and very iconic, But these things right here were discovered to have a pretty nice progression of various sized die chips right on top of George Washington's hat on the reverse. So we have this one here with the full-sized die chip. I call it a hamburger crown or a hamburger die chip. People just call it a crown. But however you see it, that's what it's referred to. $91.25. And a pretty decent looking example at that. I would say it's a low-end mid-state coin. And we also have this one. This one shows a little bit more circulation wear, but still a pretty good one here. This is probably the next one down as far as progression. It's still a right good sized crown, but it's not as big as the previous one. And here's a little bit of a close-up if you guys wanted to see and remind yourself what it looks like. This one right here ended up selling for $55.25. Again, the grade is a little bit lower, but still very, very liquid type of error that you could find on a much newer dated coin. And same as the previous coin, let's do a little update on the Smoking Tommy Boy over here. Wow, these things were the talk of the town around August and September of last year, and they've really never let up. As a matter of fact, some of the coins have gotten a lot more expensive as a result, but these coins have the pretty tremendous strike through, not only coming out of Jefferson's mouth right here, it looks like a big old fat stogie, but also right above the eye, right here is another strike through point. Now, there are examples where it doesn't have the over-eye strike-through, so keep that in mind. This one has both of them, and this is the more desirable, I suppose, of the two different types of strike-throughs. This one right here sold for $68.03 with 6 bids, and the prices haven't really dropped on these. Here's the other one sold by the same seller. I have a feeling they probably found both of these specimens in the same roll. But yeah, a little bit smaller strike through on this one. Not as dramatic as that previous example, but this one also has the over eye. I call it the scar eye effect on that strike through. This one's a little bit more impressive with that over eye strike through. $62.03 for this one with 3 bids. So between two of these brand new nickels, this person had made $130. So wow, look out for these. They're still out there. Still a nice find. Here's our other struck through cap die on the 1982 large date bronze Lincoln Memorial set. Good one here. Always one to be on the lookout for. So you're going to have that nice, heavy, regular, strong strike on the reverse, and then a pretty considerably weak obverse strike as if it was struck through a bunch of grease. So this one here is what I would consider to be a very late state strike through of this die cap, because you can see a little bit of Liberty, you can see a full date, some words of the motto, and also a profile of Lincoln on there. This one sold for $100.25 with 18 bids. So we only had one lot, but I actually like this one. There's a lot of variety here, and it's not completely junk. So right off the bat, this I would say let's say 5 coin lot sold for $79 with 14 bids. So, is there any possibility that you could buy something like this and make a few bucks on it? It's a possibility. You're not going to get rich, but you certainly have to look out for things like this. So starting on the left, and then working our way clockwise, we got that Lincoln cent. That's about maybe 55 degrees off center. It's got no readable date, but that's fine. And then we have a 1995p Jefferson nickel that's roughly 30% off center, and it's in really nice shape. So that one is, perspective-wise, that's like a $25 coin right there. You have a blank Type 2 Roosevelt dime planchet, which by itself isn't worth a whole lot, maybe $5-6. You have a little piece of webbing where the Type 1 planchets were punched out of the strip. It leaves the webbing. So yeah, that's what that looks like there. Webbing is actually very easy to maintain on the secondary market, and they call this a bow tie scrap of webbing because it looks like a bow tie. By itself, again, you're looking at like a $5 piece right there, nothing too crazy. The 68D Roosevelt dime with a full date and mint mark, that's probably the most impressive coin out of the bunch. I would put that one at about $30 to $40. The coin is in high grade, and we do know that it is a much tougher date of off-center Roosevelt dime that I've seen in quite some time, and there is going to be a collection that will want that to fill out a date set. And of course, we're going to end it off on a curved clip 1985p Washington quarter. You could probably squeeze $10-15 out of that one, seeing it's a single clip with a pretty strong Blakesley effect on there. But yeah, $79 is what we're looking at. So you could probably make $20 off this. Nothing, again, too crazy, but it is there. So I would say the market pretty much is maxed out on this listing. Now, the best looking off-center struck statehood quarter that I've seen in probably a few months has to be this Virginia. This is a 2000p. It's off-center by about 20%. A very nice, minty, fresh looking coin. And this one sold for $105.39. Some of the bigger collections want this one as part of their crop. And pretty cool to see this one. I haven't talked about this in a minute. 1926S Standing Liberty Quarter. I will mention that this coin looked like it'd been cleaned, but if you look on the obverse of the coin, there's a little red circle, and you see a little letter E that's been clashed in Lady Liberty's robe, and that's what it is. They call that the clashed E. It's the E from the E pluribus unum on the reverse. So that's it's actually a cherry picker's guide variety. I don't know what the actual attribution number is, but there are collectors of this series that do like these. They prefer something that's obviously not been harshly cleaned, but still, it's good to recognize that this one is out there. Now, it is kind of a key date. This is not an easy one to obtain in any grade at all, let alone cleaned. And this one sold for $72.50. Pretty spicy example here. And this crazy nut job of a coin is going to round out our PCMR for the week. We have a 1978 Lincoln Memorial cent that was double struck, and you have a what they call a uniface reverse. Now, this thing has a boatload of scratches. It's got 99 problems and damages all of them, especially on the reverse there. I think someone was trying to test out of whether or not this was a real, legit coin. And oftentimes they will scratch a certain area to see if it's the real, genuine composition for that coin. And after about 138 different scratches on the reverse, I think they've probably come to the conclusion that this is a real Lincoln cent. And that's unfortunate that it got beat up the way it did. However, the market responded in a way that it made it seem like that this coin is problem-free. By the way, you have 2 readable dates, which is very special on these. How about $206.59 as the final sale price on this one with 31 bids? Kind of crazy. Me personally, I probably wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole just because I don't do coins that are quite this badly roughed up, you know. But yeah, pretty nice way to kind of end off a very diverse PCMR this week. So, yeah, I want to hear you guys' thoughts. Have you guys done any cherry picking whatsoever, or done coin roll hunting for the month of January? I know customarily it's a slow month for everyone, especially going at, continuing on life after the holidays. And a lot of people have gone back into coins since that time. So I would love to hear if you guys had found something spectacular. Go ahead and post it below. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this one. I'll see you guys in the month of February for the next PCMR. I'm your host, Sean. Thank you as always. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to my video content and channel if you haven't done so already. And I'm also on TikTok at BlueRidgeSilverhound. Come send me a follow. But that's it. You guys take care. Happy hunting. Enjoy your weekend. And I will see you on the next coin video. So long.